and welcome, this is TV1 back again another video. This time it is another, I think my first movie review. Actually no, I did the Doctor Who, the movie review, which was like on New Year's Day or whatever, and now I'm back with another one, and this one is pretty much in celebration of the Avengers-Movie, which I think is coming out today, the 22nd of March. Obviously I won't be watching it until whenever, but anyway, I watched it today, Age of Ultron. I'm not sure exactly when it is coming out, but it's probably by the time you watch this, the movie may as well be out. And yes, I know this movie's been out for exactly 3 years, and yeah, I probably should have gone with this sooner, but better late than never, right? I know a lot of people have done this review, but really, I want to get your opinions, because I say most of you have seen this one. It's a very successful movie, and yeah, I want to see what your opinions are, so comment down below, leave a like on this video, and share around. And also, don't forget to subscribe to TV Hub Official 1 for more content, and just make sure to comment below if you want to see more reviews like this one. And I probably will do another one for the Age of Ultron, and you know what, Marvel reviews may coming in the future as well, of movies, and any other movies that you request or that I decide to do. So without further ado, let's get to the video. Okay, we're talking about Marvel's The Avengers. This one came out in 2012, I think around this time back in 2012, yeah. So, yeah, May 4th, sorry. Right, let's go in and talk about this movie. The basic premise or plot of this movie is that Loki... sorry, let's just not talk about that. The leader of the Asgardians or whatever, he's one of these god people, you may know him from Thor. He goes off and he basically exchanges the Tesseract to the Chitauri, a powerful energy source of unknown potential. The others promise Loki an army which he can subjugate Earth, which means he can basically take over with what they're going to have the power from the Tesseract. It all revolves around the Tesseract, and yeah, our scenes pretty much start off with the Tesseract in play, and we see the whole shield going from there. Yeah, so Nick Fury, basically director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and his lieutenant Maria Hill arrive at a remote research facility, and the story begins. Yeah, so we see the Tesseract take hold, and from there, a whole bunch of stuff happens. Let's go in and talk about that. So yes, we see the Tesseract actually explodes into something, and a whole portal beams out, and then we see, well, basically the Chitauri unleash Loki, and Loki goes on to become the main villain of the movie, and he is sort of, well, obviously the antagonist of the whole movie. We figured that out, and he goes on and gets some slaves from S.H.I.E.L.D. and takes some of their members, which includes the likes of Hawkeye, which we just got introduced to. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever seen Hawkeye in a movie, and yeah, so he takes hold of Hawkeye, and what happens, but yeah, the movie picks up from there. So I'm going to talk about the superheroes pretty much in order of when they appear. Of course, we got Hawkeye, played by Jeremy Renner, a great actor, I think. And you know, I was a little disappointed in this movie. I mean, he sort of didn't, go out to full potential. I don't think the script rated him too much. Obviously, he got his moment in the Avengers, fighting as we see the Avengers get introduced, which is basically the whole idea of basically they're being hired to do this job, and the whole government don't really want this, but they're going to do it anyway, and we get introduced to all the members. So Hawkeye and whoever we also been introduced after this. Pretty much next we get Scarlett Johansson playing Black Widow, and those two sort of work together on previous occasions, and we see those two work together. They get reintroduced, and we see that later on. Great moments between the two. I think they work a lot better, as a duo in in contrast to them as two separate characters. I mean, yes, they're both great actors. I both think they put pretty good spins on the role. But, it didn't really give me much of a perspective on the characters. I would love to see them in more detail, which I think we might be getting in Age of Ultron. I'm not sure. So, what else? These two, work together in the Avengers, and they also work with the other Avengers. But really, they're good as a team. Their superpowers they're not that great. I mean, Hawkeye is kind of the worst superpower ever. Well, actually, no, it's alright. Unclear on is the Black Widows. But anyway, that's not the real deal with those two guys. They're more just helping out, and their whole arc is reuniting and defeating evil. We also get, of course, Captain America, who comes out of a deep sleep, and what happens with him is, continuing on from I think his last movie, which is his first movie, which is the first Avenger. I'm pretty sure. It's on Netflix. I haven't seen it yet. I might do a review of that when I watch it. He's here and yeah, he joins in this group, kind of reluctant, but at the same time, introduces the world. I think his whole idea of him going in to fight with them, it came a little too early. I think he was a little too. So he felt like he was forced into it. And yeah, he did have some fans. It's kind of an interesting theory. I think of an interesting concept that a lot of people were fans of him even when he was in his sleep or whatever. But he used to be a superhero. His backstory he was quite well told there. Not the best actor in my opinion, played by Chris Evans. I think that, but whatever. You can feel that he is quite a good. Probably my least favorite superhero in this movie. Actually, no, sorry. I'll probably put that as maybe probably. I'm not sure. I actually liked a lot of most superheroes, quite a lot. And Captain America, he did have the heroic side to him, and he definitely came across as quite a good superhero. And
dishwasher.
Yeah, so Captain America, his basic power is he's got those shields and he uses them, and he does super jump and whatever. He's a big athlete guy, and yeah, he did show off a little bit of that, but it wasn't like overly done, which I liked. I didn't want him to be shown in too much depth compared to all these other superheroes. Yes, he does have his moments, but he works together. And the whole point of Avengers, you don't see everyone to their full, to take over the movie. They're all working together, so you're not going to see too much of each one of them. Thor actually looked very overpowered in this movie. He was played by, I think, if I'm wrong, Chris Hemsworth, and he has his own previous movie, which I have seen, and I think a new one, The Dark World, which came out like 2 years ago. I might see that as well. So I'm watching all the Marvel movies. I might as well go and see that one as well. Yeah, so Hulk was played by I can't remember who he was played by. Someone I always forget. Yeah, so Hulk, he was a good actor, but he was probably my least favourite superhero in the movie. I don't know, I just didn't feel attached to him, really. Yeah, he was quite human in his approach, but for some reason I just didn't really gun for him, because he felt like a villain, and he never really came across as a hero. And I think that's a cool thing in an aspect. And yes, he did sort of get up with Iron Man, but he didn't connect with the other, convey that much of a friendship with anyone else. He felt, and as a superhero goes across, he's the most sort of villainy of them all, really, because he attacks everybody and he's sort of wild. And yeah, in this one, he pretty much stops one of the Chitauri ships and destroys it, and that was really cool. But I think it was a little too overpowered for him. But I think it was a really cool effect. So yeah, one of the problems of this movie was the effects. Really good, yeah. And of course, finally, let's talk about him. Iron Man, of course, my favourite superhero from this movie. Probably my favourite superhero of all time. I think most people would say this, but he definitely just came across brilliantly in this movie. Funny lines, all coming from him, witty. That it made this movie really funny. Also, he's obviously played by Robert Downey Jr., and I think this was his third movie. And brilliant, yeah, brilliant. And I watched Iron Man 3, and that was great. And so I'm going to watch Iron Man 2, and then some Captain America movies, and finish that off, and then we can go and see whatever, the Avengers, Age of Ultron. I'll give my opinion of all those movies, obviously. Definitely a great, funny guy, and what else to say about him but amazing. His whole arc is great as well. He doesn't really work well in groups, but in this situation he's sort of forced into it, and there's nothing better than him working and just taking down some enemies, and a lot of action in this movie. Great for special effects. Obviously, I think I said this before, but one problem was that it was sort of more New York bound, and less of it was around the world. It didn't feel so worldwide. I felt more New York, and it didn't really feel like a global threat, or maybe as big a threat as they thought. But yes, towards the end of the movie, you could definitely feel the threat picking up, and they pulled out all the stops. It was a big budget movie, and had all of these aliens coming to take over. So in the end, I won't spoil it too much, but Iron Man does do something to save the rest. Actually, that's pretty much spoiling it, but I know most of you have seen this. Containing spoilers, I'm just going to say that at the start of the video or whatever. But, Iron Man does actually save everyone by exploding the other dimension thingy. But, that was cool effects. And what can I say? My favourite super in this movie, I'm going to go from favourite to least favourite. So, let's do it. Iron Man, right? I'm gonna say Iron Man, right? Black Widow, Thor, maybe Captain America, Hawkeye. That's kind of debatable which order I put those in, but and then in last place, Hulk. I mean, as a human, I think Hulk is good, but, just as a superhero, great superhero, but, he's my least favourite. Actually, you can say Hawkeye is probably my least favourite. And, Black Widow is a great superhero, I think, actually, and I think she has a lot of potential. And played brilliantly. One of the best portrayals of any of the superheroes I've seen in a long time, actually. Side characters, as side characters go, they were quite good. Nick Fury was good. I think he was the best, but his performance was just mediocre to me, really. He was played by, what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson, as you know. It felt a little bit mediocre. For me, I don't think he got enough. I don't think he got enough screen time, and that's one of the problems. I don't think the side characters were just as portrayed as put out there. So yeah, that's gonna have to mark down the movie a little bit. Who else do we get? We got, I think, a death of a superhero. Oh, sorry, a side character, and it came across quite sad. And Loki was responsible for it. For that, I think it was a great moment. Let's talk about Loki now. Loki is played by, I really don't know who's played by. Sorry, gonna research here. But yeah, Loki was a great in this movie. I'd say one of my favorite villains ever. Obviously not as good as the Joker or anything, but Loki comes across great, and his whole idea is that he wants to take over the world. There's Thor with him. Thor and Loki get brilliant chemistry. He has great lines, very memorable. His whole thing is that he's gonna, do. His whole, what can I say? His whole motives for doing what he does, they're a bit iffy, and it feels like he's kind of messed up. Towards the middle of the movie, we find a lot more about him. Obviously, if you haven't seen any movies with him before, you might be a bit confused on where his motive's coming from. But all in all, I think for just anyone who's watching this, they're going to think he's bad, right? And they're going to hate him. And he's one of those hateable people. He does a lot of crap in this movie, really. And yeah, at one point, I think he nearly gets killed, but he just stops an arrow from Hawkeye, which is cool. Does make Hawkeye look a little bit bad, again. As I said, I don't really enjoy him as a superhero. But Loki, he's amazing, and yeah, at one point I thought that he was gonna well, he does kill one person, but I think that he could have done a lot more damage. Yeah, so that is pretty much my review of Avengers. Let's talk about the negatives of the movie. As I said, some of the side characters do not get enough screen time, right? The whole motives behind our villain was a little off. I'm not saying it was bad or anything, and I think he was a great villain, but the whole story felt a little bit, I don't know. Shield were great in this movie, and the whole Chitauri. Actually, no. I think I do have some problems. I think that the villains did not get enough screen time. Talking about Loki and the Chitauri, they definitely they featured, of course, quite heavily in a bit of it, but that really felt like all of them. It was more focused on the Avengers and their whole idea of getting together, which I have no problem with again. But I think that for some people that may be just a little low, and yeah, it does affect the story a little bit. So that's where I'm marking it down in the movie. Anyway, that's pretty much all the negatives. I gotta say, wonderful movie. Probably one of my top 5 favorite superhero movies ever. If I have to mark them from that, and it does give you a great impression and gets you pumped up for the next one. And that's where I think Age of Ultron can actually be as good as a movie, or not even as, I think, better. And so we can build on this, and we've already established superheroes, so we don't have to focus on their side stories too much and get into the plot more. And so, in that regards, I'm going to give this movie. Wait, before they do that, I'm going to say my favorite moment from the movie, which I'm going to probably do with all the movies I do. Obviously, it was made by Joss Whedon, I should mention, and directed by Joss Whedon, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Produced by Kevin Feige and screenplay by Joss Whedon. Oh yeah, also music was good from Alan Silvestri. But anyway, my moment of the movie was where Iron Man goes in and he goes into the portal, he destroys the whole ship, and then comes back out. And whatever. Oh yeah, witty lines in this movie were galore. So yeah, he pretty much falls and he dies, but he saves the day. There's also a little cool Marvel moment at the end of the movie after the credits, which you go and see, which I'm not going to spoil for you guys because that was amazing, and maybe some of you haven't heard of it before. But anyway, there you go. That is it. I give this one a strong 9 out of 10 because just for enjoyment factor alone. Obviously, the one probably taken away for a little bit of emphasis that could be put on this more of the story and more of the villains. That's all I have to say, guys. Great writing, great build up, great characters. Just lacking a little bit in the side characters, I have to say, and a great action and great everything. And that's what I love about this movie. It's not like that you have to think it's a great movie in terms of some of the writing skills, but definitely in terms of enjoyment factor, you're going to love this one, and one of the all-time classics, especially regarding superhero movies. So this is probably the 6th Marvel installment, and the first one I'm doing. I'll probably hope to do all of them, that's my plan. So this is probably one of the first ones I watched. And yeah, see you next time in my next Marvel review. It's been TV1. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment below, and enjoy.